So question one had four parts and it spanned, I think, 2 pages almost. And we were to do a couple things. One of the things was we were supposed to identify whether or not we had enough information to determine a unique line, and then we were supposed to graph that line. So if I look at the first one, I'm told that I have a slope with an x-intercept that lives at -6. And yeah, I didn't intend that to be particularly tricky, but most of you who got this wrong looked at this and decided it was the y-intercept, and it's not. It's an x-intercept at -6. So I begin by putting a small dot right here. And the other thing that it told us that the slope was 2/3. So from here I can go up 2 and over 3, up 2 and over 3, and up 2 over 3. And I noticed that because I'm following that pattern, this up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, it solidly lands right here. So I can tell without anything else that the y-intercept actually did land exactly at 4. So this is the point 0, 4. So I can use that for the graph of it. Now what I guess I need to do is go ahead and connect those dots. So there we have the graph of the equation of that line. And then I'm just going to go ahead and write down the equation, which is pretty straightforward because, well, actually it wasn't as straightforward as I thought it should be. It's y equals, it was up 2 over 3, they gave us the slope pattern, times x, and then the y-intercept turns out to be the number +4, not -6. Question 2, we are told that line B passes through, and they give us 2 points here. Some of you didn't recognize this as a point, but it's passing through the origin and the point 4, 5. So right here at the origin, my other point is from there. I'm going to go over 4 for x, and then up 5 for y. So the point 4, 5 was the point that was given in addition to the origin. From there, I guess I could follow that again. I could go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up another 5. So with those 2 points, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and grab the line tool and draw the line. So there we go. And then because this is going through the origin, that's our y-intercept. So the equation of this line simply ends up being y equals, now let's see about this. It goes through the point 5, 4. So my slope pattern is from the origin, I went up 5 and then I went over 4 units. So this is up 5 over 4. So the slope here is 5 over 4 and then x. And if you put +0, there's no harm in that. It just turns out that, yeah, it's not necessary. You can leave it off as well. Let's go to part C on the second page. On part C, we were given that line C has a slope of 2/3. And with just that, our problem is we really don't know where this begins anywhere. I could pick any point I want, and from there I could go up to and over. Actually, it was -2/3. I could go down 2 and then over 3, down 2 over 3. And it turns out that the line we have would be, over 3, would be any line that's parallel to the line. I'll just sketch this here, that goes through this line. But this is not enough information to determine a unique line. So we need, what we need in addition to the slope is we need at least one point, right? And it doesn't matter if the point is an x-intercept or a y-intercept or some point out in the middle of the Cartesian coordinate plane. We need a point so that we can decide where this begins. So there is not enough information here, and we could put down that we need a point. Or something equivalent to a point, like an x-intercept, which is a point, or a y-intercept. Or even if they said it goes to the origin, that's an x and a y-intercept together. All right, and then finally D, same setup for part D. This time we're told that a line passes through 2 points. Where one of them is at 3, 2, and the other one is at -2, 5. So if I'm sitting here, let's go ahead and look at the point that goes through 3, 2. That's going to be over 3 and up 2 units. And our other point would be back 2 and then up 5. So -2, 5 was our secondary point. And as I look at this, I can determine immediately the slope triangle, right? I can see this, I can see a change in y here. This is decreasing by 3 units, so I've got down 3. And then this change in x is going by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a plus 5. So I know the slope pattern is down 3 over 5. And I would like to be able to claim that the y-intercept is some nice number in here, but the problem is that when I go down 3 over 5, it doesn't land on the axis at all. So this is really a question. I don't know exactly where it lands, and I'm going to have to use a bit of algebra to figure out exactly what that is. But let me go ahead and can just finish off a few more points and draw the line that goes through them. That's a fairly decent representation of what's going on here. But again, I've placed this dot at the y-intercept, this question mark, because it's not going through exactly 4. And we need to figure out what that is in order for us to write the equation of the line. So I guess I could do the following. I do know my slope for sure is down 3 over 5. We can see that from the slope triangle between those 2 points. So my slope is equal to negative 3/5. And I can also see I have 2 different xy points, right? X and a y. So I think what I'm going to do is use this xy point located at 3, 2. And I'm going to plug those into the equation of any generic line in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. I'm going to take the y value from this point. The y value at the point is 2. You can see it right there. So I'm going to write 2 equals. And then I'll write my slope, which is negative 3/5. And I'm going to multiply that by the number 3, which is this value. So I'm going to multiply. Actually, yes, it is the number 3. And then I'm going to add b to that. So on the left-hand side, if I clean this up a bit, this is now negative 9/5 plus b. And if I add 9/5 to each side, I've got whatever the y-intercept it is. It's 2 plus 9/5. Right? That's what my y-intercept is. I'm going to take the number 2 and rewrite it in fifths. To do that, I'm just going to simply multiply it by 2 or 5 over 5. Right? And when I do that, it turns out the number 2 is equal to 10/5. Totally, I want that to be in red, sorry. Totally makes sense. So here's 10/5 and then plus 9/5. And if I add those together, I get 19/5, and that's what b is. So 19/5 is, it's about 3 and I think it's 3 and 4/5, or about I think 3.8. 3 and 4/5. So the equation of this line, now that I know both the slope and the y-intercept, is y equals negative 3/5 and then x and then plus 19/5. So there we are. Yes, there was enough information, but we had to work for it just a little bit.